Have you ever thought about taking your art and turning it into super high quality print and potentially selling it for even more than the original art itself? So what is Giclee? It's basically French for inkjet printing, but with a lot more which basically translates into museum or sometimes called archival quality art printing. First off, why you should consider making some Giclee prints. So you've decided you want to make some own art prints to sell, but like me, you want them to look great and be sellable in a way that makes some profit. While of course at the same time, be something that you can send out to people and be proud of. And of course, if you make limited edition prints and you number each one and sign each one, you can, as a collective, sell them for more than the original art piece the prints were based on. Giclee prints are, indeed, expensive to make, but with care, they will also last for centuries. And this is what makes these prints so collectible. So now, let's imagine that you make, let's say, 50 prints and sell each one for £200. That's 10k. Now, of course, there are costs, so let's say costs are 50% of that. But you should still be able to make at least 5k if you sell them all. Now, let's look instead what happens to the original. Let's say you can sell it for 2k. Costs are going to be lower, of course, since you don't need to do scanning, printing, color correcting, any of that. But shipping will likely be more expensive. So still, let's say you sell it for 2k and costs are 40% instead of 50%. So yes, the margin is higher, but you only have one to sell. So it's a matter of netting 5k or £1,200. See what I mean? And for any starving artist, that's a lot of extra tin beans to live off. Now you might say, I can print it myself at home. But there are three reasons why I think you shouldn't. The first one is if you do a limited edition like I'm doing, the printer, my printer at least, will guarantee, and they will give you a certificate if you want, that shows the limited edition numbering. Now, you wouldn't be able to do that at home, which means that if you say, I'm going to print and sell 10 of these, there's nothing to say that you might sneakily print another 100 and sell. And the next thing is the quality just won't be as good. You won't be able to match a proper art printer at home. I think the third one as well is there's something about what making proper prints versus not proper prints, what it says how you see yourself as an artist. If you spend money to go and get proper Giclee prints done, it means outwardly that you're taking yourself seriously, you're taking your art seriously. 2, sizing and figuring it all out. I decided to use Art Foresight. They have a great reputation from what I could find out in research. If any of this has any value to you at all, please like and subscribe. It just means that with your support I can keep making content like this. My originals in this case are 79 centimeters by 79 centimeters. That's 790 mil by 790 mil. So basically they are square. Now, my printer have different widths. They can print on a roll, which is less expensive. So I decided to go with a 61 centimeter roll for a couple of different reasons. One of them, the larger roll is just A, too expensive. B, the prints would just be too big. And also they cost a fortune to ship and it's kind of very difficult to get these enormous art tubes. And I also think about the buyer when I'm thinking about this. At 6161, it's easier for the buyer, the collector, to frame them basically, and frankly hang them in their house. So I think by not making them huge, it's again, if they want something huge, they can buy the originals. This is more an entry way in for someone who is less committed to buying my art or your art. Also, of course, by printing them slightly smaller, it means they cost slightly less to print, which means I can sell them for slightly less, therefore hopefully sell more of them. So if the paper size is 61, how big should my image be then? So I thought to myself, if I make the image 55 by 55 centimeters, that would then give me basically a 30 mm margin on each side, on all four sides. 30 mm or 3 centimeters, if you will. It's for those that understand inches, it's about an inch. That would then give me enough margin space to sign and handwrite the limited edition numbers. It would then also give me a couple of mil extra for the buyer to underlap with if they wanted to use a mount or passport 2 when they do the framing. 3. Scanning, printing, papers. The file you need to print from is a fairly large, reasonably high-res file. My printer says 300 dpi is enough, which surprised me because as an old art director, I'm kind of 300 dpi is what you use in print in general. I expected this to be higher, but the image itself has to be quite large. However, that is if you have an image of your artwork. If you don't, your printer will probably be able to either flat scan it or photograph it there. I did my own photographing, but it does require a little bit. You need to have 2 lights, for example, or shoot outdoors because you can't just have one light. Obviously, you don't want any shadow at all. You want completely flat light on it. I did consider using my printer's huge industrial-sized flatbed scanner. However, it ended up being quite expensive. So since this is a little bit of an experiment for me, I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to sell. It is a pricing thing. Depends how much money you can spend. I decided to shoot them myself and then spend all the money, all the budget on the prints. For the art paper, I've chosen Hanemüller hemp. And the reason for this is this particular art series of mine, and indeed my art in general, touches on themes of habitats, sustainability, and printing on hemp, which is a very, very sustainable paper, fits with my story. It's also a really nice looking paper. It's somewhere between completely smooth and having what they call tooth, like watercolor paper. This hemp paper is somewhere in between. It's not 100% brilliant white, but it's, to the naked eye, it's almost white. It's beautiful paper. And apparently hemp is incredibly long lasting. The American Declaration of Independence was apparently printed on hemp. Who knew? So, judging the results. An art printer should be able to make a test print for you. They should also be able to do color correction for an extra cost, obviously. And it's up to you. I'm an old art director, so I'm kind of a bit finicky about color correction and things like that. I know from my experience, it's not always that you hit the correct color from first time around. But I have no experience from art printing, so maybe they will sort that out for you. I also don't know if your printer has the ability to color correct. I've just been to the printers to do a color correction, but actually none was needed because I'm very pleased with them. Really happy with them. I also printed 50 cards for using one of the motifs that I'm going to use for promotion. So bonus tip for those watching to the end. My top tip sort of comes really from a background as a commercial creative, and that's to consider the your audience or your customer, your collector. Think about them. Andy Warhol, which incidentally also was an ex-art director, he really liked a square format, and so do I. And once you start thinking about it, it actually makes sense because 4 square pieces can hang in a larger square, or they can hang in a row. So you can hang them in so many different ways. And if you think about it that way, if someone buys 4 of your prints or 4 of your originals rather than just 1, well, you know, that can only be a good thing. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know below if your prints came out successfully or any other thoughts or about you and your creative journey. I'll see you next time. Bye.